Also got grant funding from the LSTA grants, which is Library Technology Act grants. So that was a good thing. The bad thing was we could not sustain it. We did not have enough funding locally to sustain this. And each year after the program, the participants would come, "When are you going to do this again? When are you going to do this again?" And so we continued on for another 3 years. One thing I want to say about this is one of the participants, she retired, and after going through this course, she felt confident in the IT skills that she was able to get online, because most applications now are where? Online. She felt confident enough to apply, and she got another job. Okay? So that was one of the cool things that happened in that type of program. The next program was in 2019. What we were noticing in Sunflower County was, I'd like to go down there to the valley and take a couple of courses. I just can't, I don't have transportation. I can't get there. Well, a bus goes there. Well, I can't do that because I've got another job. So a lot of times the challenge for our folks in Sunflower County in getting a higher degree training was transportation. And we've got a nice place called the CAP Center where you can get some certifications. But the folks up in Drew, on the north end of the county, didn't have transportation to get there. And so what I was trying to do at our library was here we go, technology gremlins, was to provide a project called Beacon of Knowledge, where we would obtain equipment to allow people to do video conferencing, to do online remote. Now this was before COVID, okay? Notice the year? We were trying to get this type of technology going in our public libraries because we knew that would really be a help to our folks. And then the big C's came. Okay. As director, I experienced, I didn't have COVID, thank God. Everybody lived through COVID, but I was recovering from breast cancer. And I'm just going to step out of this little deal and say, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Week, so take your loved ones and everybody here, go get yourself screened. Because that's what saved my life. Okay, back to the deal. All right, so during the big C's, we were basically focused on trying to stay safe. Because we had no idea about COVID, right? Nobody knew. But I told my staff, I said, we are essential workers. We have got to make sure that our public libraries are providing folks information. And so I met with my assistant director via Google, was it Google Meets that we first started using? Yeah, via Google Meets. And we had a little conference. I was at my home, and Kay, my assistant director, was at her home, who does not have access to broadband. She likes about fiber, okay? So you go ahead and put her on the map. But anyway, she was using her hotspot off of her phone, I think it was. And I said, Kay, how are we going to get our staff trained to do virtual stuff? Because we've got one staff member who still has a flip phone. What am I going to do? All right, so we were thrown into it, and graciously, our staff embraced the moment and learned real fast. So our next program was the virtual Bamba project, where this was also grant funded. And what we did is we invested in some updated technology so that we could do some virtual things. Okay, so we have now some of our county library YouTube channel. You can go out there and visit. We have virtual story time. We have virtual craft time. We have attempted to try to do hybrid, where we're doing the actual program at the library and people are out there experiencing what we're doing here at the library. And we also have fans of the Sunfire County Library System. We have all kind of digital type stuff that's out there and available. If they have broadband, that is the issue. So the lessons that we learned was technology training is still needed. Now this was ancient technology that I'm talking about, okay? But we still need technology training. And where is that nice kind of gentleman? We need fellows like this here available at our public libraries, okay? See, he's like, oh my God, it's great, okay? We want to be able to come to these types of folks and say, help us out, all right? We don't have that at the public libraries. We don't have funding for that. New technology develops faster than we can get a training. We have decided not to do computer classes anymore because by the time we learn the stuff in the computer class, all that stuff is over. So we are working on trying to have tutorials where people come in and the library provides that specific technology question or tutorial that you're looking for. All right? But we librarians didn't come from the IT world, okay? So we need a little help there, and that's why I'd love to get with the TEALS volunteers. And so these are some of the lessons that we learned through all these deals. So the last, in closing, what I want to share with you is, what if? Y'all been talking about maps. I just kind of got on Google Maps and put in public libraries, and these little red balloons here are where your public libraries are in this area. What if we had these public libraries as beacons of access until we get that fiber laid down? What if we had these libraries as beacons of access for technology training? What if we had these libraries as places where people can come together and get more information about this? So I'm really excited. I hope you will let me come and work with you on the table here, because I really do believe the public libraries, they're anchor institutions, y'all. Do y'all know what that is? They're like schools and hospitals. They got the stuff there for you when you need it. Okay? So thank you for letting us share with y'all, and put this on somebody else.
As you can see, our libraries are an invaluable resource for our communities. There are 236 libraries across our state, and they are all connected to fiber. So it's a place where everyone goes when they don't have connectivity. So thank you so much. As we bring up Brandon Campbell, he is our Southeastern Director of the Center on Rural Innovation. This is our last presenter that will be talking about programming, and he has some innovative programming ideas that he does in Oxford, Mississippi.
Thank you very much.
Historically, Wilson's known as the world's greatest tobacco market. In part, that's because we built our own electric distribution system to keep us, with the times and to continue to grow. In today's world, a lack of broadband is really just unacceptable, right? Because we rely so heavily on digital technology and communication for everything we do. And now where we're really at is moving beyond the physical aspect to the connected people, both through the development of the ecosystem and through that physical fiber network. And so that broadband is just the next generation of that infrastructure investment.
Wilson, North Carolina has always been forward-thinking, pushing to become the tobacco center of the world in the early 1900s, to being one of the first cities in America to have an electrical grid, to being North Carolina's first gigabit city, an effort that brought gigabit-speed fiber to the home for every resident and business in Wilson. That uncompromising conviction has led Wilson to become an innovation leader outside the state's research triangle.
So I've been a part of Greenlight since its inception back in the mid-2000s. And one of the jobs I had was to drive around from fire station to fire station with a disc. Because there was just no infrastructure in the community at the time that was sufficient to transmit that kind of data remotely. And so our city leaders, council, and mayor realized that it was holding us back as a community. So they decided to make the investment to build the network, but then realized, wait a minute, this is going to benefit the whole community potentially.
And so to build Greenlight was quite a risk at the time, and we're very grateful for that because I think it's helped us preserve our industry, and it's absolutely paved the way for Gig East. Gig East is Wilson's kind of stake in the ground of what we are and what we have to offer to the larger tech community and to really the Research Triangle ecosystem.
This facility, the Gig East Exchange, is in the heart of our downtown redevelopment area. We've been working diligently on downtown development over the last decade. It is important for Wilson to establish an entrepreneurial ecosystem instead of allowing those folks to get energized about an idea and feel like they need to go elsewhere to foster that.
It's not about people not leaving. It's about people not having to leave. Right? We want to create that choice and opportunity in our community too.
We wanted to send that loud message to say, you don't have to go elsewhere. You're carving a path here. We can support you in doing that, and we'll wrap the resources around you to make sure it can happen.
Better connectivity can usher in a new wave of rural prosperity and innovation, along with a new generation of young people ready to leverage the economic hub that's being established in Wilson.
So I was actually born and raised in Western New York. I grew up a huge NASCAR fan. I moved to the Charlotte, North Carolina area after high school to pursue a career in NASCAR. I started as an intern with NASCAR Productions in Charlotte, North Carolina. I worked for them for 12 years and kind of worked my way up the ladder. And I left in 2014 to start my own company. I was based in Charlotte for a while, and then my partner Cameron got a job here in Wilson, North Carolina. And I decided to make a move with it. And so here we are in Wilson from via Charlotte, North Carolina. Being an entrepreneur, I'm carving my own path. I think it's really awesome in the world that we live in now. I can live in Wilson, North Carolina and have a client in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I never have to even get in my car. I have gigabit internet speeds here in Wilson because the city has made such a push for broadband for all to make it affordable and accessible to everyone that wants it. I can have clients send me files on Dropbox or other file sharing services. I don't have to leave my house to do what I'm doing now. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't know that that's really the case, that I could live in remote, rural Wilson, North Carolina and still have these clients that are in major, large, urban cities.
Willie, Cock, and I were extremely fortunate through Innovatancy to see all these co-working spaces and realize that was our vision for long-term here. To think that from that idea and that dream to realizing that in 3 years is pretty amazing.
To be in Wilson is to feel like we belong. And young people are starting to bring their talents back, invest, and have pride that they came from Wilson and to become a part of that community in a major way.
We haven't had a home, we haven't had this physical structure in the 4 years we've been creating Gig East. So the exchange is Gig East's physical location. It's the epicenter of everything that's happening with Gig East.
Gig East Exchange is going to be an amazing kind of turn-the-page moment for the city of Wilson.
Yeah, our first tenant will be one of the graduates of our first accelerator program, a company called Shift Auto. Right, so we're bringing people with ideas together. We're helping them get those ideas off the ground and then translating that into new businesses in our community here.
What I love most about Wilson, the people. I mean, we're like a big family. We are that beacon of light. I had a couple of people contact me that are renting or using other locations for their office, and they're like, Carlton, we are hearing it over here. This is exactly what we need. I'm excited about the opportunities that it's presenting, even more so just the ideas.
And to be quite honest, we believe in our exceptional nature as a community. You know, by working together, we can do anything. We have had success, and we will continue to have success.
There's always an energy and a sense of innovate, turn it up, turn it on, make it happen.
Everything starts with a thought, an idea, and Gig East is going to help people take their ideas and put them into fruition.
The world is changing. With a commitment to innovation, local government can build and leverage infrastructure to cultivate a thriving and connected startup ecosystem.
How's everybody doing out there? It was very strategic while I played that video first. I wanted you all to imagine through a real life example of what a community can look like with accessible broadband and a technology economic ecosystem. So I showed you Wilson, North Carolina. Wilson, North Carolina is a community that is part of our Rural Innovation Network. And I'll tell you a little bit more about them as well as myself and my organization. I'm Brandon Campbell. I am the Regional Director for the Southeast United States at the Center on Rural Innovation. The Center on Rural Innovation is a nonprofit, a nationwide nonprofit that exclusively works in rural America. In fact, it's the only organization in the country that focuses on building tech ecosystems in rural America. And so a little bit about me and my background. I'm originally from Arkansas. I now reside in Oxford, Mississippi. Hotty. Good way to say that, actually. But anyway, my background is in entrepreneurship and economic development. I led a women's business center in rural Southwest Michigan, where we won the WPC of the Year Award for 2022, right before I joined the Center on Rural Innovation. So I come with a lot of experience as well as entrepreneurship success stories that I can probably share with you all later on as well. The Center on Rural Innovation is advancing economic prosperity in rural America through the creation of inclusive technology economy ecosystems that support scalable entrepreneurship and tech job creation. Let me get to our why. As you all know, living here in Cleveland, Mississippi, and throughout the state of Mississippi, that there are challenges in rural America. There's a brain drain, population decline, and a lot of that is created through less opportunities. You go back to 2008 when we had the Great Recession, there was a lot of automation, a lot of jobs that were lost, a lot of jobs relocated to more urban metro areas, and that helped create this divide in technology and divide in opportunities. But as you saw, the country kind of getting back on its feet as we got into the 2010s, rural America continued to be left behind. And so when you see this slide here, you'll see the gap, especially we all know what happened back in 2020. That seems like it was 6 years ago, right? COVID happened, created more barriers for individuals, especially those that are in underserved and unserved communities. And so now you have job loss, we have lack of opportunities, less opportunities to be reskilled, and now you have to have internet to even go to work. And even also probably climb that corporate ladder. And so what happened was created more lack of opportunities in rural America. And so now when you think about rural America, and then you think about communities such as Cleveland, where there's, unfortunately, for a lot of people who look like me and look like some of you all out there, I like to say look like my mom, there was already some gaps. There was already some inequities. So here you see 30% of the employment rate was lower than that of metro black population in rural America. And then when you think about the lack of opportunities, how COVID, when that happened, it just exacerbated the challenges that had already exist. And this is not just for African Americans, this was also for economically and socially disadvantaged groups as well, poor Americans, especially as I'm focused now here on the South and the Southeast. So this is kind of like the reason why I exist within this organization. So when you think about rural America, about 20% of rural America, or people of color, or BIPOC, they live in the South. But then when you think about the inequities and those challenges, it's even more of a challenge in those communities because of the lack of opportunities that exist. So, why tech-based economy ecosystem development? Because we all know, those who are in this room, that tech occupations is a great way to get a quality job, also be an opportunity for you to create generational wealth. The median income for someone who's working as a techster, as I like to call them, or a technologist, is over $80,000. That's the median income. So when you compare that to those who are not working in technology, that's about $30,000. That's the median in other occupations. And so $38 an hour, as you see here, is what a software developer could make in rural America. And so another question is, how do we do this work? How do we build a place or partner with leadership to create an ecosystem like